Good morning, CLC.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this service. If you're joining us online, thank you for being here and a part of this service as well. We are happy that all of you are here and we can welcome in this week with you. On Christmas Eve, we will have a virtual only service. So we want you to enjoy it from the comfort of your home, in your PJs, sipping your favorite coffee or tea. Maybe your family will be around, and you will still have the whole look and feel of a service, but it will be virtual. It will be available on Facebook Live, so you don't need a special link or anything to join. If you are already receiving notifications through Facebook, you will be notified when we go live for that, and you can join us and participate. We can still chat, all that good stuff. All of that's going to be available. It'll just be from the comfort of your own home. So we hope that you can join us for that. We also will have a virtual New Year's Eve celebration, and that is going to be led by Deborah Morwood. Is it Deborah Morwood? Oh, excuse me. Dr. Deborah Moore. Reverend Doctor. Isn't she a reverend too? Reverend Dr. Deborah Morwood. Let's not, I mean, that's a lot going on there. So, Esquire, yes, the third. Yeah. All of that. So with that, that is going to be Friday, December 31st, and that is going to be on Zoom. And with that, she is just going to help us to release the things that we don't want to bring into the new year, accept the things that we do want to bring into the new year, and make sure that we can enter 2022 in the best mind, the best spirit, and with our best life. So that's what that's for. I hope you can join her there. And now we come to our own weekly inner healing time. And so I invite you in this moment to just take a few deep breaths. Breathe in the cool, crisp air, allowing it to fill your lungs and the oxygen to just rejuvenate you. And as you breathe out, release all stress and tension you may be holding in your body. And also release anything that no longer serves you. Let your body in this moment in time just relax. And allow your mind to be here now. Universal love enfolds me. Universal wisdom inspires me. Universal spirit enlightens me. Universal power encircles me. I am one, and all is well. As we begin this inner healing process, let me invite you to relax in quiet confidence, opening yourself to the miracle-working higher power. Now symbolize the unity of your thinking and feeling nature by touching your chest with your right hand, and let my words act as your own for your own inner healing, acceptance, and receptivity. I acknowledge that there is a power, intelligence, and wisdom greater than my own. I am in the midst of it, and it is in the midst of me, sensitive and responsive to my every thought, word, action, and feeling. I now make this true for myself by saying aloud, I acknowledge. Acknowledging this higher power working through my life, I admit that I am personally responsible for solving my own problems while being guided and assisted by something greater than myself. As I am ready to surrender the conflicts of my ego to the wisdom of the infinite presence, I simply speak these words: I surrender. knowing that forgiveness is the key to unconditional love and the feeling of heaven, I now unconditionally forgive anyone and everyone who has ever injured me in any way, real or imagined. And I now forgive myself for all of my mistaken judgments and their resulting actions. From my deepest level of understanding, I now say, I forgive. Realizing that I continually experience the effects of my own thinking, I now choose to allow this higher power to recreate me deeply, filling my mind with thoughts that are only positive, constructive, loving, and beautiful. I call upon this divine inflow by stating aloud, I choose. I now center upon that one special idea that I'm willing to accept as real for me in this coming week. In seeing this idea as already acted upon and brought to pass, in visualizing my idea become a fact of my experience, I enjoy the happiness and peace of my thought fulfilled and gratefully speak these words. I accept. Knowing that I have an everlasting place in the midst of the power that sustains all creation, as well as the support of all those around me, I allow myself to relax in the peace of fulfillment and gratitude and say, I release. Now, in my mind's eye, I envision the presence of someone near and dear to me. This can be a friend, a family member, a teacher or mentor, someone who has touched my life in deep and loving ways. Someone who may not be physically present in the room with me this morning. I turn toward that image in my mind's eye and say, I'm grateful for the good in your life. Now I open my eyes, turn to the world around me, and joyfully speak to anyone physically present in the room or virtually on this broadcast, and sharing confidence and gratitude and saying, I'm grateful for the good in your life.
Thanks to all of you who are on hand. Thanks to all of you who are online. Can you tell it's Christmas? We're red, we're green, we have the tree, and most of all, Mary brought out the Mongo harp. Mm-hmm.
Oh, the big one.
Yeah. The major harp. The mothership of harps.
There we go, yeah.
I've been called old school in the way I teach metaphysics. And when I was first told that, I thought maybe I should do something about it. And then I realized, no, own it. So this is about Christmas for the New Thought metaphysician, softening up the subconscious mind. We started softening up the subconscious mind from the moment we hit this room today with the opening Om, great wave, even the announcements, which might seem linear, were being processed in a way. We were asking ourselves, is this something that interests me? Would I like to take this class or this book study? Then we went into the meditation, we went into the inner healing experience. We're softening up the subconscious mind. You want to soften up the subconscious mind before you declare the truth of the Christ being to it, or it will fall on its face. This is what the shepherds represented. We're ordinary, everyday thinking who had to them announced this great idea that they had no capacity to receive at that point, and it blew a fuse for all of them. So in our personal lives, we want to soften up the subconscious to accept the idea of the divine incarnation of our own spiritual nature. In this teaching, we believe there's one life. That life is God. That life is all the life there is. You are therefore, and I am therefore, an expression of that life, not a stepchild of that life, not an in-law of that life, not a just acquaintance or peripheral being of that life. We are that life having an experience of itself in this world at this time by means of us. We spend a lot of time talking about the relationship we have with that source. Not a relationship to it, a relationship with it. Just like we say in human relationships, we don't say I have a relationship to my children. I don't have a relationship to my partner. I have a relationship with them. The relationship forms a container, in which I exist and in which they exist. Well, Spirit, Source, God is that container in which we exist, but to particularize itself, to individualize itself in life, it needs a sentient being who has the capacity for free will, which implies the ability to doubt even its own nature. See where this is going? So in a circular sort of manner, we are so free, Ernest Holmes writes copiously about this, we are so free we can bind ourselves. We can bind ourselves. We can wall ourselves up in a tomb, another metaphor that will come later in the Christian liturgical year, but we can wall ourselves up in a tomb that has no reality to it beyond that power that we give it by virtue of our free will, which is a long, roundabout way of saying the only healing that is ultimately required is the healing of our sense of separation from our source. And so that's why we're softening up the subconscious. That's why we're talking to it, making friends with it. Before we start giving it a bunch of instructions, we want to make friends with it. And so it's, it receives this information and it moves along with it. And it starts to bring it about in form in a certain way. So this is a time of epiphany. This is a time of becoming. This is a time of a new possibility being born. Because we have metaphorically declared that, and as a group, as a society, not all of society, but much of society, especially the part of it that we live in this part of the world, has decided this is a jolly good time for that to happen. We've called this a sacred season. I bought into that early on. You bought into that early on. The other night I went on YouTube and I saw a Christmas Eve service, candlelight service from the church I grew up in, which is a cathedral. It's a massive cathedral. And this video was not professionally shot. It was somebody in one of the pews on their phone. And so there's a lot of murmur, and then they point the thing down the aisle, and you see the procession begin. You see the choir, all this. I sat there, it's just, and it was a little me that was like I lost a tooth in this cathedral. And a nun went under a chair looking for it for me. Hand to God. Because you got a quarter for a tooth. I don't know what teeth they're up to now, but you got a quarter for a tooth, and this nun wanted to, and so I have a lot of these wonderful memories. And so this time of year, it brings all of this stuff up, but I realize that it's more about something actually else. See, what happens, I think at Christmas for a lot of us, it's a time of year that we take it very personally. It's really about us. And I don't mean that in a selfish, perverse kind of way, but it's like I'm having this experience. I'm stopping time. I'm slowing down the daily process of Monday turning to Tuesday and I'm being present. I'm being conscious in the moment. The Advent calendar that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, Danielle and I have experience with this, maybe you do too, is a way of being in the moment. It's this, you don't open all of them at once. It's this day. Be present in this day. What is the gift of this day? And the Greeks had a term for that. They called that Kairos, as opposed to Kronos. Kronos is this time. Kronos is elapsed ordinary time. Kairos is extraordinary time. It expands, it contracts. It's the holy instant. It's the moment of now. When you're fully present, you have this great clarity. It is of spirit, and we live in both. And both are vital for us to get done what needs doing in this world. We need Kronos as well. See, life is a game. And as you're going to read more about in John Rennie's book study, The Game of Life and How to Play It. It's one of the 4 books that are in that Florence Scovel Shinn collection. Life is a game. It's a finite game. It's a finite game because we demarcate it in time. We have birthdays, we have anniversaries, we have days of the week, months of the year, and all of this, and we have a moment of arrival in this world, and we have a moment of departure from, in physical sense of this world, and all sorts of little, it's like one of those rulers with all sorts of different measuring systems on it. You got the metric, and you got the this, and it's right. All these little dividing lines that we've set up, and every now and then we add some new ones of our own. There's another book I want to recommend to you that I recommend every so often when I think of it. It's called Finite and Infinite Games by James Carse, C-A-R-S-E. And in there, it's a book of philosophy, and we should do a series on it sometime. But it's not hugely useful because it's a book of philosophy. It'll expand your mind, but it won't put money in your pocket or, that kind of thing, unless it does, I guess. But he makes the point in this book. He says, a finite game, the purpose of this is to win. It has a beginning point, it has an ending point, and the score is kept. And somebody wins, or a team wins. An infinite game, the purpose of the game is to continue the game, is to keep the game going. The infinite game, we say, where did it come from? Where did it begin? It never began. It's always been. Where does it end? It never ends. It always will be. It is therefore the great mystery. It is the place of Kairos, time, the great mystery, the great expanse. Within the context of that, we have the finite games that we play of determining how well we're doing. And where I'm going with this is to another line from a Christmas song. Last week we had the line from Bring a Torch, Jeanette Isabella. Today's a line from Oh Holy Night. And the soul felt its worth. And the soul felt its worth. Where the soul feels its worth is in extraordinary Kairos time. You cannot get to the fullness of your own worth through chronological time, through chronological or material evaluation. Somebody will always have more than you do of something. They'll be younger, they'll be smarter, they'll have more money, they'll have more friends, they'll have more social media likes, they'll have something. There's a line in another song. I'm all over the place with popular culture today. Bruce Springsteen has a song about this. The poor man wants to be rich, the rich man wants to be king. The king isn't satisfied till he rules over everything. And so there's always in that accumulation of material value a measurement in which you're found wanting. Somebody else has more going on. A tooth that was worth a quarter is now what, $5? You see what I mean? And that's not just the 3% annual inflation markup. That's the whole, well, we do this in our daily lives and we lose ourselves in it. We lose ourselves in the value. Here's an example of this, and I'm not making this wrong. I just thought it was a kick. There's this dog. Did you read about this dog? It's a whippet. A whippet. Every time I think about the whippet, I want to say whipped good. Devo, right? Yeah, Devo. Yeah. Well, there's this whippet, and they had dog-like Olympics. They had dog games in California last week, and the whippet won a race and became known. It's the fastest dog on earth. Well, it was the fastest dog entered in the race anyway, you know. And I guess they had regional trials or something, but this dog wound up there, this whippet. This whippet ran 100 yards. That's a football field in 5 seconds. 5.2. A human, the fastest human ever to do it, did it in 9. So this dog just took off. But I promise you, let's look at this a moment. I promise you the dog did not know it was 100 yards. And the dog did not know it was 5-point-something seconds. And I'm not even entirely sure the dog knew it won. What it knew was, yes, I get to run. I'm a whippet, and this is what whippets do. Okay? And it got into running, and it ran, and it did really well. And probably a bunch of bets were made, money changed hands, and it made the news, and I read about it. Now you know about it, and they're probably putting it in the feed chat thing, the whippet story, you know. You see? So from an external vantage point, this was an exercise in finite games. The fastest whippet gets a medal, gets, I don't know what it gets for it, or its owner gets. In terms of infinite games, it got to experience unbridled yes. Unbridled yes. I think we need a little more of that. Like I said last week, we need a little Christmas right this very minute. Candles in the window, carols at the spinet. We need to temper our acquisition and our management of supply and everything else with the spirit of yes, the spirit of the moment. To realize that our worth as individuals is not comparative to anybody else, which goes against much of what we've been taught, but much of what we've been taught was wrong. I was listening to Eric Butterworth recordings recently, and he comes right out and says that like in the first sentence. He's giving a course in practical metaphysics. Just the first thing you have to do is unlearn a lot of what you learned. If you're willing to do that, we can go forward. You unlearn a lot of what you've learned. What you and I learned, that I'm speaking of here, that they thought, those who taught it to us, was good preparation for life, was to compete and to win, to outdo, faster, higher, stronger, you know. The idea that if you don't keep up with the rat race, if you don't do all of these things, you lose in life. You can't lose in life. There's no way to fall out of life. There's no way to fall out of spirit. All that happens is you get disillusioned, disenchanted. Okay? And then what do? Well, now you have clarity. And you either live in that clarity, or if you want, you create new illusions. And illusions aren't entirely bad things. That's a function of imagination. I read this op-ed piece this week. This writer goes off on Santa Claus. And I wish I hadn't told my kids about Santa Claus, because I don't believe in not telling the absolute truth. And the physics of Santa Claus and the time zone situation and all the rest of this makes it so top-heavy, and I wish I hadn't told them this kind of thing. And I wanted to tell the writer, it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor. It's the play of imagination. And I'll speak more about that on Christmas Eve. But the idea here is to soften up the subconscious mind so that this new idea can be born. And Christ the infant, as represented in the manger, didn't have all the answers. Wasn't up healing and manifesting and feeding multitudes and all the rest of this stuff. Those are acquired talents as a result of deep awareness of your own spiritual nature, but it starts out small, and it starts out vulnerable and innocent and in wonder and in awe, and it remains there as the core of you. While you and I grow up and learn, I love E. Cummings' line about this, children remembered but only a few, and down they forgot as up they grew. See, we think it's about what it is. We think it's about the branches of the tree when it's really more about the roots. So the child in us who accepts the idea of oneness with Source is free. Is free. So to end on a silly note, because why not? You know, we're here. Let's end on a silly note. But a useful note. There was a meme that went around when the COVID lockdowns first began. You may have seen this. She was a school teacher. And she was saying, sometimes I feel like I just want to scream. And then she screamed. Did you see this? I'm not doing it justice. It was really quite funny and also quite moving because she's talking about the stress of the work that she was doing. And I think Lisa and I talked about it, and it was like it's an opportunity to blow off steam. So for you, there's still time before Christmas to get this, what I'm about to suggest. I am not a paid spokesperson. I receive no bounty on, no kickback or anything on this, what I'm about to tell you. I just saw it online in a list of things, and I thought it was really cool. It is a small plastic goat. We had the whippet, now we have a goat. It's a small plastic goat, and it sits on like a stump, like a tree stump, about yay big, I think. And I suppose it's got batteries in it. And when you touch the goat screams. Like bloody murder. The goat screams. And these things are selling a lot because people want to scream. But they don't want to scream. They don't want to hear themselves scream. They don't want to alarm the family, the neighbors. So you get a little goat that screams. And every time you touch the thing, it just goes off, you know. And I'm thinking you can hold it up to the phone, too. You know, somebody, we have the quote ready on the body work on your car. Ah! And, you know, and you let that be out here. You let that be out here. And you step back into the truth of your own being, and you let the goat scream for you. You let a form, in this case a toy, a device, take the pressure off. You let it be this containment system for the frustration and the fear and the doubt. You remember there's a line in yet another Christmas song, the doubts and fears of all the years are born in thee tonight. That's born with an E. Born, carried. The doubts and fears of all the years. Offload them into the toy goat. Offload them into the things of the past. Offload them into that which is not returning into your life, that you've let go of and released it, and you're watching it drift away. The you that once was, that you've now grown beyond. The habits, the interests, the passions that you once had that you now release. Let all the frustration just be bundled up with that so that you can stand in the clear place of yes. Of yes. And you will find that you run your 100-yard dash. That is to say, the requirements that life places on you based on where you put your hand up to serve, you know. You'll find that you're able to fulfill these things in that spirit of yes, this is my own perfect nature expressing itself as I move forward. So, more on this Christmas Eve, next week as well, next Sunday. And now let's know together there is one life, one power, one mind, one presence, pure spirit, everywhere manifesting, everywhere radiant. It made this spectacular day for us. Right here where we are physically located, where it feels a little like winter, just a touch. And better than that, it created what's inside this room, all of us together in community and all of us watching from a home office in Tennessee, in a living room in Michigan, in a parlor up in Alberta, and other places that we know of that are chiming in. Let us all, in our heart of hearts, together know, yes, this time is sacred time. A breach in ordinary time has occurred, opening into extraordinary time so that the possible human can come forward. And we are that. And every note of music, every bit of light or tinsel or wrapping paper, every smell of food, every sensation, and there are so many that pack themselves in at this time. Every one of these is a gentle and welcome reminder of what is and what can be. For this sweet time together, and all that comes of it, I am so deeply grateful. I release this word now into that one life that I know as my mother, father, God. And I let it be so, and so it is.
So it is. And now, as our ushers make their way to the back for giving time, we would like to acknowledge anyone here for the first time. So please raise your hand so that we can acknowledge you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of the service, and welcome. We hope to see you again. If anyone is here for the first time online, we want to invite you to let us know as well. Please message us in chat or send us a private message just so that we can welcome you as well. And with that, now we come to giving time. Thank you, everyone, for being here, giving us the gift of your presence, giving us the gift of your financial support. Everything you do with and for this center is valued and appreciated. So just a heartfelt thank you to each and every one of you for everything that you do. And now I invite you to say with me, divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. I am prosperous now, and so it is.
I have to follow that. Oh, okay. My hands are wet because I'm wiping tears out of my eyes. It was beautiful. Okay, let me take a deep breath, which I encourage all of you to do. Take a deep breath. Never be ashamed of your tears. They are, no matter what emotion your tears come from, they are healing tears. Yeah, I'm going to take another deep breath. So please join me in one nice deep breath. Breathe it all the way down. Relax. All right. We are in the Christmas season, and it is the season of gifts. And as Mackenzie just showed us, no gift is too small. No gift is too small. So I want you to know that about yourself. You have more gifts than you think you do, and no gift is too small. So know with me that there is one life, one power, one presence, one love. And that love flows through us. We are a divine channel. We are a divine creation. We are a perfect vehicle for that love, each and every one of us. And so I am knowing that as we move through this holiday season, that each one of us takes that deep breath, breathes in that love, plugs into that love, and knows the source of that love. Knows the source of that love is inexhaustible. Knows that that love is constantly coming in and going out. That it is constantly being recycled. It is constantly flowing. And each and every one of us are open channels. And so as we move through this season, I encourage you to turn up the flow. Open that channel wide. Open it for the love. Open it for the light. Open it for the joy. Open it for the healing. Open it for the sadness. Because know that that is held too. So let the tears of happiness flow. Let the tears of sadness flow. Let the tears of laughter flow. Let the tears of love flow. You are perfect just as you are. And I am grateful to know this. I am grateful to know this love. I am grateful to know this peace. I am grateful to know this joy. I am grateful for this place. I am grateful for these people. I am grateful for our senior minister, Reverend Jesse. I am grateful for these amazing musicians that show up every time. I am grateful for the technology and the tech team that lets us broadcast this out. And I am just grateful to be. And so I know all of this, and I release all of this into the infinite love, knowing that it is done. And so it is.
Say it with me now, something wonderful is happening through me.
Something wonderful is happening through me.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in everything I am.
I feel it in everything I am.
I choose it.
I choose
I
it.
trust it.
I trust
I
it.
use it.
I use
And
it.
I love it.
And I love
So
it.
it is.
And so it is. Woo! Okay, my